War is raging, government is stealing our freedom, food processing plants are burning, and gun sales are through the roof. You're in the right place. This is The Prepared Mind.
Well, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is the zoo. It is Sunday Night Live, and we've got shit hitting the fan starting on the West Coast in L.A. That's Los Angeles to you and me. I tell you what, folks, the left is really turning it up. There's a lot of guesswork as to going, why? Why here? Why now? Why over this? Was there something in the Elon Musk Trump feud that caused problems? Did it give them an excuse? Did it scare the left over the possible Epstein release? So therefore, they're cutting loose with their, shall we say, super secret, subversive infiltrators, invaders, terrorist groups, right? They're sleeper cells. Yeah, I wonder. I don't know for sure, and we won't know. But this is the Prepared Mind, which means you guys are here with me. We're all here together. Get your questions in. If you've got something to say, we had a super chat button up there, or down below in the description of the video, we have a Venmo, CashApp, and PayPal. And if you got something to say, it'll get you on the screen just like this with your question. Will make you famous. And it's interesting. A lot of people, folks, I don't know if they want to be famous, but they want to get involved. You know, that when 2020 hit, the summer of love over St. George Floyd, I got involved. I think a lot of you did as well. And there's different ways to be involved. Going down to the fireworks show is not a great way to get involved. You could end up pulling a Kyle Rittenhouse. But a lot of people stood their ground, stood outside their businesses, stood outside their homes, followed these fruitcakes around, harassed them, chased them off, et cetera, et cetera. But it's going to get weird. So if you would, remember, you have to be a subscriber if you want to comment, and you have to be a subscriber 5 minutes on YouTube. X, you click on the video, and it should open up a comment box. Man monitors all of those. This is going to be a 2-hour show, or if you guys keep asking questions, I'll keep answering them. We're going to have one hell of a night. So, one last thing, and remind me to tell everyone in a little bit, man, that you've got to be a subscriber for 5 minutes before you can comment on YouTube. In any event, you do a $50 or more super chat donation, and I get a scotch to celebrate. So starting off the show, well, I'm going to try and guesstimate where a scotch is here. This is a shot glass man gave me, and it says on the back, there comes a time when a man must spit on his hands, hoist the black flag, and begin to slit throats. I thought that was an appropriate glass, and I'm going to call that a shot. I'm up to the word up on the back. Anyways, we'll call that. Darcy T, thank you for the great gift and the awesome question. I know we're going to love it. Smells right to me. Woo! Okay, and we're off. So Darcy T did a $50 super chat donation through PayPal, and here's her question for tonight. She writes, most European nations are experiencing unbridled immigration despite the protests of the people. It's getting worse each day and is turning into a tinderbox ready to blow. I suspect that it is being fomented by the globalists. So we end up with more draconian laws to shut down free speech and all further erode our freedoms. Troops on the streets in LA now, which is just the start. Thoughts? Well, I've got a lot of thoughts, as most of you probably do as well. Now, European nations experiencing unbridled immigration despite the protests of the people. In America, we protested against it. We railed against it. And then we voted against it. right? But as soon as Trump took office, they did shut down the border. And it's my understanding that they have now, they've deported, I think, 1 million illegals. Right? That sounds like a lot, but if we've got 15 to 25, because we don't really know, that's way too many. But here's what I think. In Europe and the United States of America and Canada and down in Australia and other places, the government, our own people, have rejected the people. They've rejected the United States Constitution. They've rejected it. And they've substituted their own free will, which was paid for. It is the globalists. It is the globalist. Darcy T says, I suspect it is being fomented by the globalists. Fomented? They fucking paid for it. They're paying for this. They want this. A very close friend of mine said, why do they keep doing this? Don't they see what they're doing? Don't they know what they're doing? Can't they tell what they're doing? The answer is completely 100% yes across all of this. They know exactly what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose. Next question was, well, why would they do that? Because they hate America. They want to destroy America. They want to destroy our culture. They want to replace us with low IQ morons because they're easier to control. You can train a monkey to do a simple job in a factory. You can train people to do simple jobs. But you can't keep high IQ people as slaves. They don't like it. They don't go for it too much. So Americans weren't going to fall for it, right? We've rejected their globalist socialism. Globalism was rejected. So, well, let's just destroy the nations then. Fuck it. This is the Great Reset. This is the fourth turning. This is shit hitting the fan. This is going to be another revolution, folks. It is going to be worldwide. Now, the revolution of 1776, which, by the way, was the number on the train pulling all of those tanks into Washington, D.C. I figured that was just another picture of tanks so people could go, oh my God, they're bringing in tanks. They're going to invade the country. No, they were supposed to bring them into Washington, D.C., these army tanks, to have a 250th anniversary parade on July 4th. Seems a bit early for that, if you ask me, because 2026 is going to be the 250th anniversary, not 2025. They're a year early. But yeah, the train number was 1776. And since 1776, folks, we've had other revolutions. You could say the Civil War was a type of revolution. It was a rejection of overbearing, over-the-top government control. And in that one, the government won. We had another type of revolution in 1913 when the United States brought about the Federal Reserve and they destroyed our currency. Let's see. 16 years later, we had the crash, stock market crash, followed by the Great Depression. That was a type of revolution. The Russians had their revolution, right? Their Red October. What happened? Communist takeover. Communist takeover. Who else had revolutions? Well, we had a lot of communist revolutions. And since the advent of the CIA, our deep state secret government, CIA, has caused revolutions in many countries to install their puppets. So revolutions are common. They're not uncommon. The French had a revolution right after our 1776 revolution. Shortly thereafter, they started their own. The Indians revolted against the British, and the British gave up control. Lots of revolutions. The world is never always going to be one way. It would be great if there was a 1,000 years of blissful calm and peace. Not on this planet. Nope, not at all. So the globalists want this. Now, there's two things that can happen in America. Same two things can happen in every country. The globalists can win, and they dominate and own everything from banking to real estate to businesses and corporations to owning the fucking people and the government, everything. Or the people can win and determine what government they want, what they're willing to bend the knee to. Well, in America, we've got an advantage no other nation has. We have 750 or thereabouts million guns in the hands of civilians. And the estimate is close to 1 trillion rounds of ammunition. It's a lot of ammo. If we have a revolution, it's going to be a big fucking mess. And odds are, if the military, our own military, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, if they can't defeat a bunch of goat fucking, turban-headed desert dwellers in Afghanistan, and I'm not putting down our military. You know better, I know better. But if they can't beat those fucking backwards ass idiots, then how does the government in DC and the global governance at the World Economic Forum, how do they think they're going to defeat us across a nation even wider and wider and wider? All right. Afghanistan's small compared to the United States of America. You know, can the government continue to control its own police force, its military, and use it to subdue us? I don't think so. But can our government, our police force, and our military eject these worthless national foreigners? Right? They're not American nationalists, they're foreigners. In any event, we can eject them. And I think the people need to be involved. I think we ought to be involved. Now, interestingly, and I know I'm running a little long here on the first one, and Chin Music is going to follow right behind. Veterans, patriots, and constitutional Americans, sportsmen are out there saying, okay, we see the show warming up. At some point, we're going to get involved at some point. And they're excited by it. They're absolutely excited at the notion of fixing things. The bat call went out to the Korean rooftop army. And in fact, Mr. Moon himself also chimed in on X and said, yep, they're there. They're waiting. All the Americans are waiting, folks. The real Americans that love America. So we're going to see what happens. In any event, they do. Back to Darcy T. when she wrote, the globalists want us to end up with more draconian laws to shut down free speech and further erode our freedoms. Yes. And I was going to cover that today on this, how do we say it? Sunday Night Live, this special zoo. We've got fun coming in the world of free speech. In the United Kingdom, that's England, jolly old England. When I think of jolly old England, I think of stuffy feet fucking British snobs, and I think of good old regular English people as well. But in the United Kingdom, they now have an Islamic blasphemy law. And they've arrested somebody for burning a Quran, a book with pieces of paper in it. A book with pieces of paper in it. And they said, hey, that's blasphemy against Islam. And now he has been convicted under this law. Folks, when any government recognizes and protects a religion, it is now a state religion. And national government power will punish, it will tax, and it will mandate worship and service to that religion. Now, yeah, you have to respect the Quran. You have to take care of the Quran. You can't hurt the Quran. It's just a fucking book. In fact, I believe it's not even a religion. I believe it's a death cult that demands servitude and submission and death to all who oppose it. That's what Islam is to me. But yeah, this is what's going on. So when Darcy T, right, when she asks or mentions, that freedom of speech is being eroded or eliminated, yeah, that's what they want. Right? We now have National Guard troops in LA on the ground, rounding up a lot of people, and I'm loving the shit out of it. The Marines, as in the United States Marines, on Camp Pendleton, apparently reported that Pete Hegseth, Secretary of State, Pete Hegseth, has put them on emergency standby. Now, as a Marine myself, nothing more will piss you off than to have your weekend interrupted by being called back to the barracks, told you're on standby, and you can't do anything. Even getting to the chow hall was a little tricky at that time. It's like, well, you could be called to muster at any moment. It's like, well, it's fucking chow time, right? In any event, Darcy T says things are turning into a tinderbox around the world. The answer is yes. In Ireland, not the illegals, not the Palestinians, not the Pakistanis. It is the Irish people. Red hair, freckles, bright blue eyes, and a desire to fight with any fucking buddy they run into. The Irish are battling the police. That's that kind of a tinderbox. Here in America, we've got the illegals who have been activated, right? The sleeper cells, all of those military-age men that snuck across the border, whether they be Mexican or Venezuelan, Central American, North African, from Morocco, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, the Sudan, Yemen, Somalia. Oh, yeah, folks. Pakistan, Afghanistan, all these sleeper cells, military-age men, right? At least 10 million of that ilk are here, and they're going to be activated. Pallets of bricks are showing up on city streets. Bricks, cinder blocks, and it fucking frosted my cake when Dan Bongino went on X and said, if anyone knows who this guy is that was throwing rocks at ICE vehicles, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, please let us know. It's like, look, fuckhead, you know exactly who the pipe bomber was from January 6th. You know who he was, and there's no fucking arrest. You know that there were FBI agents on January 6th. There's no arrests. There's no public investigation. There's no disclosure of the facts. You're fucking liars. Why should we help you guys at all? You're not helping us. And that's the problem. Our federal government, our state governments are not helping us. You, me, us, the people. The government wants more power. The government doesn't want to do its fucking job. Trump did something right, in my opinion. He went over Gavin Newsom's head and activated the National Guard in California to be backed up by the U.S. Marines. And I think there's another reason for that that's going to come to light. We could have had some insubordination with the National Guard. There's a possibility that there was intercepted messages that they weren't going to help, that they weren't going to do the job, that they were going to do a piss poor job, that they weren't going to try, yada, 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 whatever the fuck. And so they said, that's okay. We got the Marines. Because the way I see this is Los Angeles is not dealing with protests. It's not dealing with mostly peaceful protests. It's not dealing with fiery fucking riots. It is my opinion we are now dealing with terrorism in our country. Because these are fucking illegals doing it. What say you guys to all this? What say you? Oh, I tell you, thank you, Darcy T. This is how you get questions up on the board if you don't want to do a Google super chat, a YouTube super chat, and that button's right up there. Next up, we have Chin Music, and he has done a $52.43 super chat donation. There comes a time when a man must spit on his hands, hoist the black flag, and begin to slit throats. In other words, it's time to get some. Thank you, Darcy T, and thank you, Chin Music, for that one. Woo! Okay, here we go. This is what Chin says. We just had our mayoral election here in San Antonio, Texas, and the commie rainbow lady won. My council choice also got walloped. We have reached a point where they have nots and wait. We have reached the point, we the have-nots and the wastoids. We the have-nots and wastoids outnumbered the producers in our cities, and whoever promises to rob Peter to pay Paul, they can always count on Paul's support. I'm really not too helpful for us anymore as a nation. The woman, meaning the rainbow bitch, continued. They just elected as a complete moron. Film at 11. Yes, they elected a lesbian, gay, rainbow fruitcake, communist, Marxist mayor in San Antonio, Texas. I would think Sam Houston would be shitting his pants. Now, I'm glad my mother left the greater San Antonio area for, shall we say, a safer area in this nation. Now, Chin Music is still there. The same thing applies in San Antonio that applies in Ocala, Florida. The same rule applies. If you've got, say, 55%, 60% Democrats and 40% Republicans, you outnumber them with ammunition. Let's just say in Ocala, we've got 60% Republicans and 40% Democrats. We definitely outnumber them with ammunition. But I think that's where we're going. I really believe at this point, it is a foregone conclusion. There will be massive violence and unrest. What I don't know, because we have not experienced this yet, is in the event a single Democrat scumbag pulls a gun and we get more Kyle Rittenhouse moments, that it's just not going to be game on. Let me give a what if, for example. We're going to call this a hypothetical, if we shall. And by the way, those scotches are fucking delicious and they're great. The super chats keep the lights on. They keep the spam, tuna fish, and scotch in the lamp pantry. Now for the hypothetical. A veteran has a son and a daughter, and he lives in a city like Los Angeles, San Antonio, Chicago, Kenosha, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. It doesn't fucking matter where. But a veteran or a constitutional scholar or just an all-around American who's had enough bullshit lives. And this man discovers his children have been, well, stabbed, beat up, and hospitalized by a bunch of Antifa and illegal aliens at their protest. So this man goes to his personal armory, puts together a combat load for himself, and hits the streets and wipes out dozens of these leftists. The question is, will the rest of the leftists leave and run and go hide? I'm guessing yes. Will they come back with their guns, the left? Possibly. If someone does that, and again, I am not inciting, encouraging anything for violence, nothing harmful or dangerous. This is a complete hypothetical. But let's just say someone's kids get stabbed and beat up and hospitalized. An American, red-blooded, flag-waving fucking American, takes action and says, well, the police aren't going to do any fucking thing. The mayor's not going to do any fucking thing. The governor is not going to do any fucking thing. So I will. And he goes out and he waylays and mows down a bunch of these communist, Marxist, anti-American, godless fucking scum. Because that's what they are. They are assaulting police again. They are burning buildings again. Wait till it spreads across the country, folks. Will the left run and hide in their fucking caves and that'll be the end of it? Will they come back with their guns? Will they riot in other cities, just not that one? Or will every city have an episode at that point? Will patriots say, you know what? It's time to clear the fucking streets. They're shutting down freeways again in LA, by the way. Our businesses are going to be interrupted. That means our incomes are going to be fucked with. That means everything about our lives is up for grabs. And these motherfuckers want to destroy this country. And they've said so. Maxine Waters is in LA. She actually is calling it civil war. She actually is inciting violence. I do not. I can sit here, drink a scotch, watch what's going on, make sure that my magazines are loaded, and they are. I'm not going to commit any acts of violence against anyone. At the most, I will commit an act of self-defense to help and assist other Americans be safe. And that is my constitutional right and duty. Anyways, I know I've gone long here, but Chin Music, his city, San Antonio, has just now elected a fruitcake, tongue and groove, rainbow flag, communist, Marxist, anti-American, godless piece of shit who would love to transform all your children into a bunch of sterilized, neutered freaks. Right? San Antonio lost. It is a lost city. I recommend, Chin Music, that you and those that you love leave that fucking place and come to Florida. We'll make room for you here. Is this where we're going now? Because, and again, I'm not inciting violence. Maxine Waters is. I'm not calling for violence. Hakeem Jeffries did. I'm not calling for violence and revolution. All the Democrats are. I'm not saying the police shouldn't do anything. I want the police to do something, but they're not, because the mayors and the governors of these Democrat places are sitting on their fucking hands. They want this to happen. They want it to happen. They want it to happen. They want it to happen. They can't get war in Ukraine. Well, not the type they want. We'll talk more about that later, right? But they can't get the United States to go fight over in Ukraine against Russia. They can't get their World War III that way. So they want us to all fight our own little individual civil wars in all of our countries and see if they can control us. Anyways, let's continue the show. We're half an hour in. We're going to go at least 2 hours. So we're 25% of the way in. Jolene, Uman, who do we want to do next? And it is the unprepared mind checking in. He says, John, I'm hearing that we Americans are losing our constitutional rights because ICE is detaining people for proof of citizenship. How else could they do it? Well, let's start here. Does law enforcement, local, state, or federal, have the authority to ask you for a driver's license, identification, proof of citizenship? Well, in the old days, what you would do is if you were stopped, captured, arrested by the police, and I'm talking 100 years ago, 200 years ago, they would ask, who are you? And you would give them a name. Okay, now you've given a name, right? They didn't have computer databases to check on. Are you an American? Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, I was born here, eh? Right? My parents lived here for whatever. You can lie about citizenship. Now, I can't provide proof of citizenship while I'm driving around. I can hand them a driver's license. Now, the question I have, and since I'm a natural-born American, do illegals on their ID cards, their driver's licenses, does it say they're an American or a foreign national? Right? Now, I don't believe I'm losing my constitutional rights if immigrations and customs enforcement, we're going to use the word you did, detain. Detain is not arrested, right? If they say, "Are you an American, John?" I'm going to say, "Yes, I am." Are you? Anyways, yeah, they can ask. I don't believe I'm losing my constitutional rights. Now, the other thing I want to look at here, I don't like being fucked with by the police or anybody. I don't like anybody fucking with me or asking me questions. I don't like it. But a bigger question is, what is the state of the union in which we reside at the moment? It is one of uncertainty, invasion, violence, and an attempted insurrection by the left. In times of war, right, the government has a duty to protect us. It does. So if the fight is overseas, the government rounds up our military and sends the fight overseas. If the fight is in our country because we've been invaded, it's a different kind of world, isn't it? We have, and like I said, I don't believe the government has extra constitutional powers to fuck with us. Right? They do. It's a state of emergency. You no longer have a constitution. I don't like that at all. I really don't. But how do you deal with this? If you have a funny accent, a non-American accent, or you don't speak English at all, you're not from America. You weren't born here. Now, let's just say you were a proper immigrant. You moved from another country. You got a work visa, and you applied for citizenship and you passed. Well, then you're going to have a citizenship certificate at home. Right? If you're being detained or even arrested, right, they can look up your name, your social security number. I'm sure they figured out how they figured this out. But, and I really appreciate the question. I really do, a lot. Because it's, where do our rights end and the government's responsibility begin in times of crisis? And that's the deal, right? Does the government have a right, or does the government have the authority, rather? Because government has no rights. Government has authority. Government has power. We have rights. Government has authority. Where does its authority end and our rights begin? If the government says, "John, you have to give up your guns because it's an emergency," I'm going to say, Second Amendment doesn't say anything about that. Sorry. If they say I don't have free speech, I'm going to say, I check that one too. I will say whatever the fuck I want, asshole. Continuing, right? Fourth and Fifth Amendment, right? Right to unreasonable search and seizure. Is it unreasonable to ask a person in the country during times of insurrection what their nationality is? I don't think that's a problem, because the problem is insurrection. We need to separate the Americans from the illegals. We need to separate Americans from terrorists. We need to separate Americans from enemy combatants. I don't believe any of these people that are committing acts of violence should just be deported or thrown in jail. They need to be sent to Gitmo and tried as enemy fucking combatants and terrorists and returned to their countries if they accept them as prisoners, or execute them if they're violent. If you're here illegally and you're committing acts of violence, aka terrorism or war, you should be killed. Trial, death penalty. I don't have a problem with that. The other thing is, they're not wearing a uniform. They're not a true enemy combatant operating in an army. They are fucking terrorists. They're terrorists. They're the same as a spy. They're fighting for someone else, causing damage, harm, etc. But they're not wearing a uniform, right? They're an undeclared person. It is fucked up. I don't like this, folks, but this is where we're at. It's really bizarre. It's crazy and everything else. Anyways, it is a great topic, and I think, Mr. Unprepared Mind, that we're going to be visiting this many, many times. Also, so everyone understands, first off, we're over 300 people live. Hit the thumbs up. You've got to be a subscriber for 5 minutes before you can start commenting. If you want to get on the screen, you've got to do a super chat up here, or Venmo, CashApp, PayPal. Getting a little parched. This is where we're at. There we go. Thank you, Jolene. Jolene's in the house as moderator. So is Mr. Uman. We're in big trouble as a nation and as a world. Hang on. These are not usual times. They're not usual times. Let us do this. Let's do. Oh yeah. I want to get to 400. So, write. Share. Thumbs up, heart, email, text to friends, family, coworkers. Get them here and say, "Wake up, motherfuckers! It is getting real." Now, again, it's not a one-day process. It's not a one-day process. This is going to go on for weeks and weeks and weeks. Jolene, who's next on the Prepared Mind channel? What are we going to do? We got Dan the Man Erickson. And he asks, boy, with a $2 super chat donation. Bam. He says, boy, the Musk-Trump feud, is it real or fake? I'm going to say it's both. I'm going to split it right down the fucking middle. I think that they had a true falling out. First and foremost, I think that Elon Musk really did not like the Build Back Better. Oh, no, wrong BBB. The big, beautiful bill of bullshit, BBBB. I don't think he liked it. I don't think that Elon Musk liked the fact that the Department of Government Efficiency found trillions of dollars stolen, reported it, and there were 0 arrests for all the fraud, all the theft, all the waste, all the abuse, all the money laundering, all the racketeering. Not a single fucking arrest. He found accounts. He found bureaucracies doing this. He found the names of people doing it, who authorized the money, who received the money, who laundered the fucking money, and nothing was done. Nothing. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel. I'm going to throw Dan in the mix too, just because he's Dan. He's continuing to snivel on TV like a bitch and not arrest anybody. That's, I think, was true. I think, Dan, that Elon Musk is truly sick and tired of this shit. No arrests, no fucking changes. And the big, beautiful bill was a bitch slap to America. I don't care what Trump said about it. I am sick of them spending our fucking money on shit that doesn't help us. Hey, government, you want to spend money on the infrastructure? Power, roads, bridges, tunnels, water. You bet. Because that helps you and me. It helps us. We need electricity and lights and water and roads. We need that. But that's not where the money is being fucking sent. I think the money is being sent someplace very strange and bizarre. But maybe we'll touch on that later. Now, here's what I got. So I think that, Dan, is true. That pissed off Elon Musk. He's like, you know what? I'm out. As far as the fake side, I think that he probably went to Trump and said, look, let's get crazy. Let's do a fucking feud. Right? I don't know whose idea it was. Maybe they both came up with it. They're like, you know what? Let's just fuck with everybody. And I think it is immature. I think it is irresponsible. And I think it's beyond fucking bizarre for the president of the United States to engage in this sophomoric cat fight, like a couple of high school girls fighting over a guy. Ridiculous. What effect they were hoping to get. A lot of people have said it's about Palantir, John. They're turning loose Palantir to start spying on Americans. Welcome to that fucking party. I've known about that since the 1990s with the NSA's computer system. I think it's in Utah. They've been scraping phone calls and then the internet and everything they can and putting together databases of who we are. But a lot of people think that's what they're doing, right? They're trying to cover for that. Or they're trying to create, one of the theories I had was, well, Elon Musk said, you're on Epstein's list. And a lot of the Democrats jumped on that and said, yeah, release the list. Use that as an excuse to release the list, which hasn't been released. So what was the reason for the fake side of it? The bullshit. All of the fighting and stupidity. I don't fucking know, folks. We won't know until you and I all have 20/20 hindsight. until it comes out and it becomes obvious, we see it or they tell us. Then we'll know. Until then, I don't know exactly what they're up to, but I know they're up to some shit. I think it was both real, the falling out, or, I'm done with you guys. I'm Elon Musk, and I'm going to go back and work on my company and my rockets and my power and my car and everything else. A lot of people have said this. This is pretty interesting. What if Elon Musk wants to contribute to the chaos? Not on the streets, not in LA or San Antonio or anywhere else, but rather in the markets. What if he were to buy up all the silver? What if he were to buy up all the gold that is available on the markets? Well, that would cause chaos, and it would make the dollar absolutely take a shit. But it would cause international chaos. Is that what they want? That's what they're already doing? Like I said, we're close to martial law and civil war in Ireland. It's just now waking up here in America. Other countries have seen the same shit too. Germany, the Netherlands. Right? They've totally rejected this insane desire to invite terrorists into the countries. Wow. All right. Thank you, Dan the man. Jolene, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? We've got Alan Meyer Jensen, who says now that they want the chance, now they want the chance, the mental health laws, DMS, so they can lock up people on future, thinking the governments and a psychological can just lock people up, medical, industrial. How the run a go? I believe Alan Meyer Jensen is Dutch. And so his English is not the greatest. I appreciate the question, comment, thought, and I'm going to see if I can address it to the extent that you wanted to ask. Mental health laws. Now they want to change the mental health laws. I don't know if he's talking about in Europe. I think it is in Europe to which he speaks. So that the government can say, hey, psychologically, you are unstable because you don't like Islam. You don't like the government. You seem dangerous, right? This is something that we talked about here in the United States of America also, right? The government saying, if you don't take the Jim Jones juice, the V.A.X. If you don't take that, well, you're breaking the law, right? That was a medical excuse to lock us up, deny our rights, hurt us. In other parts of the world, they did arrest people, right? Now, mental health. They're trying to use mental health, Alan, by the way, in America to take your guns away. Oh, you're dangerous. You're a threat. You're a risk. Somebody complained about you. It must be legitimate. Well, tell you what, in Polk County, we don't play that fucking game. So here's the deal. Yes, they can try. The question is, are you going to allow yourself to be arrested? Or are people around the world going to have to step up en masse like they are in Ireland and tell the government, sorry, not going to happen. We're not doing that, right? The medical industry would love to lock everyone up so they can, well, you guessed it, medicate them against their will. Because understand this, even in American law, even in common law, those who are mentally incompetent or have an IQ below a certain level, once you're there, you're a mental incompetent and you don't have the same rights as everyone else. Now, if you're on your own, the government can take control of you. If you're a minor or an adult, mental incompetent, who is under the jurisdiction and control of their parents, right? In other words, they can force people to take their shit. They can arrest people, you bet. Lock people up and say, well, you're a psychological nut job, right? Because you have deranged behavior. And we'll talk more about deranged behavior later. Anyways, Alan, thank you much. Jolene says we got some super chats, so let's get into them. Cottage Farm is in the house. There's my lady with a $50 super chat. You know what that means? That means I'll be having some Glenn Levitt, 15 years, single malt scotch. And again, every time, there comes a time when a man must spit on his hands, hoist the black flag, and begin to slit throats. I'll pour it up to the up mark. Oh, yeah. That's looking like a solid shot there. Thank you, Cottage Farm. I hope all is well on the West Coast. I really do. I hope all is well. Semper Fi to you, one and all. Kapow. All right. Cottage Farm says, we are civilized, not disgusting child fuckers and rapists like other countries. The United States of America government destroyed our men, blown body parts or death, when they went to war after 9/11. Deliberate, now called extremists. There's kind of a lot of different ideas and thoughts that just went right through my mind. Anglo countries, which means England, Scotland, Ireland, Canada, United States of America, New Zealand, Australia, they're common law based. Common law based. Europe is not quite the same, but they're still civilized. They have laws, they have order, right? There's a system in place of law enforcement, the judiciary, right? Executive branch. It's all there, right? They have their parliamentary systems. It's civilized. Why are we inviting the uncivilized in and then giving them authority, right? These people in these other countries that are now trying to run these other countries, like London, their mayor's name is Khan. Not that there can't be a decent, real, intelligent human being, but he's like, you know what? Terrorism, you have to expect it in major metropolises. He's excusing away terrorist activity in London, England, right? He's excusing it away, making excuses to justify it being there, right? In San Antonio, Cottage Farm, they just elected a Marxist. That means a godless communist who wants to steal your property. You have no rights under a communist system. Not to mention she's gay, which puts her in the LGBTQ crowd, which likes to groom children and rape them and cut off their genitals and change their genders and fuck their bodies up with puberty blockers. They're not good people. They're not civilized. They're disgusting child fuckers and rapists, like in other countries that aren't civilized. So yeah, right? Now our government, we had 9/11. We had 9/11, and then they went into Iraq and did a lot of odd things. Our Marines and our soldiers and even our sailors and airmen were blown up, shot, killed, supposedly fighting for freedom for people who don't even know what freedom is, who don't understand it, who don't want it, because they like the system they have. Barbarous Islamic crap. But I've got to tell you, folks, 60 years ago, countries like Iran and Lebanon, Afghanistan, women there look like women here. They dress in dresses and clothes and skirts. There's none of this hijab and burqa shit going on 60 years ago, 50 years ago in these countries. Radical Islam has taken over the entire Middle East, Northern Africa, and now they're coming for us. And if it's amazing that the people, the Democrats who are running our countries and cities, the socialists in Europe, they have the same attitude. They love killing on the streets. They love rape. They love people's rights being just absolutely shit on. They love it. And then they want to complain that Trump is stealing our rights and that Trump is doing things illegal. It's ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous. But yeah, they're the extremists. They start wars, they cause wars. Governments. Our government is inviting in by the fucking millions. They did under the Biden regime. They invited in millions and millions of military-aged terrorists and drug dealers and rapists and sex traffickers. And then they want to call you and me. They want to call, right, normal people extremists. They want to call people who love freedom extremists. Taxpayers, property owners, business owners, right? Now, look, I don't care if you're a decent, quiet gay person. I don't care if you're a decent, straight, quiet person. I don't care. But these ones that are in our faces and ruining our lives and ruining our country and ruining our world, they're not civilized. They're not civilized. Right? Now, for argument's sake, because Trump actually activated the National Guard for California, is that part of an evil plan, or is that what needs to fucking be done? Now, back in 2020, when he was president, before Biden took over, after the election, right? Trump didn't do a fucking thing. And he let these sons of bitches burn all over the place because, well, it was the states, it was the cities, and their job to protect themselves. And they kept refusing National Guard control. No, we don't want that. Trump, in this case, has gone like, fuck you, I don't care what you want. I'm doing this. And he nationalized them. Well, they are the National Guard. And ultimately, they fall under the president's purview. Now, a governor of a state can say, I would like the National Guard, the California National Guard, right? The Minnesota Guard. All the states have their own guard. They could have done it, but they didn't. Right? Gavin Newsom says Trump has deranged behavior. Pete Hegseth, right, Secretary of Defense, has deranged behavior because he said that the Marines are on high alert and that they will help with the National Guard if LA gets out of control with their illegal immigration riots. Right? So Trump has deranged behavior. Pete Hegseth has deranged behavior. You and I, Cottage Farm, are deranged. We're civilized. It is the governors and mayors who are allowing arson, looting, the assault of law enforcement, murder, rape, right? That's deranged. Allowing children to be secretly mutilated without parental knowledge, that's deranged. Allowing drag queens, tranny faggots into schools and grooming children, that's deranged. Right? So Gavin can just fuck off. Literally. All right, let's keep this going. Cottage Farm, great having you back. Who is up next? There's so much going on. What do we want to talk about next? I know this is a big deal. Northern Pike checks in. $2 super chat. And he says, I say, look, boss, the plane. The plane. Yeah. That was a reference, by the way, to the show called Fantasy Island, starring Ricardo Montalban and that, I think the midget dude tattoo is Hector something or another. But yeah, look, you used to start the boss, the plane, boss, and the plane lands, they get off, they give them their fantasy. Yeah. They need to be deported, all of these people. I give them the plane, the bus, the boat, or just catapult them over the fucking wall and out of the country. It's time. It is go time. Thank you, Northern Pike, for supporting this channel. All super chat donations are welcome, and they pay the bills. Thank you, guys. And it is Sunday Night Live. That means it's your show, your questions right here. As long as you have them, we're going to stay online and talking about them. Typically, it's a 2-hour show, except on those days when someone like Nikki or Blue Court Devil or even Chelsea or we got Robin, Bonnie Blue, John, Dr. John. Then we've got Cottage Farm. They want to punish me at the end. Not really nice. Anyways, let's continue. Jolene, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? We got Nancy Kaag, who's never punished me, by the way, checking in from the Great White North. She says, for all the great topics you cover this evening, John and everyone, Semper Fi. And that is the Marine Corps motto, Semper Fidelis, means always faithful. Faithful to your faith, God, country, Corps, your city, your family, freedom, liberty, the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration is law. It is real law. It supersedes and precedes the Constitution and was the justification for 1776 and the revolt against the British overlords and King George, his judges, his governors, his army of anti-American, anti-colonist, anti-freedom, anti-law and order, uncivilized bullshit. That's right. The Declaration of Independence can be, how do we want to say this? Like a phoenix. It can rise from the ashes. It can rise from death and be used once again by the people on any level, in my opinion. Does it have to be just for an entire continent or just one country? Or can it be for, I don't know, a state? Can you have a revolt inside a state if the entire state government has failed? And I'm talking to you, California. If the government of California fails the people, do they have a right and a duty to overthrow that government and create another one, or reinstitute and re-elect people to actually represent the people and the state and their combined interests? Or do we have to just go, oh, well, I guess the government's in charge. They can do what they want. They can take our money. They can take our property. They can give it to other people. You know, communism. They can kill us if they want, because, you know, it's government. We have to let government do it. No, there's a fucking limit. There's always a limit. And that's what the Declaration addresses. And that's what the Constitution was designed to not allow to happen, until government overreaches so far that it becomes necessary to once again revolt against evil. We're not there yet, and I am not saying that I want that, but here we are with, once again, mayors and governors inciting violence, allowing violence, and then calling you a threat. Thank you, Nancy Kaag. Please be safe. Please be prepared. Everyone be prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Your plan. Your plan. Right? You need a 1, 2, 3. 1, you see something happening, something bad, shit hitting the fan. 2, you activate your plan. And 3, you do everything you can to preserve life and liberty for those in you love. That's what shit hitting the fan is about. All right, Ooman, Jolene, who's up next? We've got Boomer, boom, with a $20 super chat donation. And he says, what do you think the chances are that federal forces will arrest and deport the rioters? Boomer, 100%. It's not just my opinion. It's what's going on right now. If you're standing in these riots in Los Angeles or anywhere else, and you're waving the flag of Mexico, Pakistan, Palestine, or any other fucking country for that matter, you are showing them exactly who you are, and you need to be arrested. Once they discover you're not an American, you are gone. Right? All of them. Now, if you're an American citizen, either natural born or naturalized, guess what? You can go to jail for being in a fucking riot, committing the act of mayhem. Right? Not that guy in the TV commercial that makes car crashes, but actual legitimate mayhem. Rioting is a felony. Looting is a felony. Rioting and looting is felony. Arson is a felony. Catch my drift, right? All of these things that these people in LA are doing is rioting. It is all of it is felonies. All of it. Arson, burning, looting, assaulting police with deadly force, throwing bricks at moving cars, throwing blocks at moving cars, throwing rocks at moving cars that have law enforcement in it. That is attempted murder. And I think it's attempted murder if you do it to citizens. And I want to remind all you dumb left-wing fucking miscreants here in the great state of Florida, you block traffic, we can run your dumb asses over. That's a fucking promise. I don't want you denting my grill with your foreheads. That's a promise. We don't have to fucking stop for you here if our lives are threatened by you people blocking roads. Because what happened during the Rodney King riots? A truck driver, a semi-truck driver was pulled. His name was Dennis. Can't remember his last name. That was, I don't know, 3 decades ago. Dennis was pulled out of his truck and had his fucking head and his brains bashed in because of people blocking the road. Now, our good friends, the Korean snipers, none of that happened to them. You want to know why? Second Amendment. It's getting nasty, Boomer. We've been waiting for it. I don't know what's going on up in Canada. Are they going to get violent? Is this going to be more of an American thing again like 2020? Or is it going to spread across America, across Canada, at least in Montreal and Toronto? Is it going to spread into Great Britain, the United Kingdom? Is it going to spread into Europe and cover Europe? Is Putin going to laugh his ass off? Is Kim Jong-un going to laugh his ass off? Is Xi Jinping of China going to laugh his ass? Possibly. Because they're watching what these socialist, globalist, New World Order types are doing to our own countries. When we get through all of this, when this finally clears up, God willing, the United States of America is both whole and a constitutional republic. I believe that the United States government should have a grand jury assembled to determine who in the World Economic Forum and any other group or nation planned all of this shit, funded this shit, made it happen. They should be arrested and treated like war criminals, like enemy combatants, like terrorists, right? Now, understand, Osama bin Laden allegedly was in a cave in Afghanistan when he coordinated the 9/11 attacks. And the United States government under President George W. Bush went to war with Iraq and then went into Afghanistan to look for him, right? My point is the terrorist that committed the 9/11 acts, that wasn't Osama, but Osama commanded it from his cave, allegedly. So if these people from their caves in Davos, Switzerland, are coordinating attacks on America, they're just as guilty of terrorism, massive terrorism, as Osama bin Laden. Get my drift? Just because they wear business suits and they're snotty, aristocratic fucksticks doesn't make them any better than Osama, who, by the way, was an aristocrat himself. The did I say Obama? The Osama bin Laden family. The bin Laden family, very wealthy, very powerful, noted, very well known. And the bin Laden family was friends with America and many other countries. Enough of that shit. Thank you, Boomer. Who's next on the Prepared Mind channel? It is Sunday Night Live, and this is the mostly peaceful zoo, but there'll be no flames on this flag here. There'll be no flames on this flag here. And this symbol, anchor, globe, and eagle. There we go. That's the Marine Corps emblem. Corsair trainers. Hey, Corsair, you and I got to have a fucking talk someday. And I know we've been saying that shit for months. I just haven't had time, but maybe we'll make time. Maybe they'll shut down work in parts of my state. And I'll just have to sit at home and have some fun. We'll see. But Corsair Trainers, a subscriber and a patriot, a very interesting cat by his own right, just informed Uman that the protesters had blocked off the 101, which is a highway, a major highway freeway there in California. The police line was just attacked by a guy driving a motorcycle into them. He did not drive a car. He drove a motorcycle. Now, once again, let me ask this question. If you've got a question, of course, you hit that super chat button and I'll get you on screen. My question is this. If somebody, anybody, drove a truck or a car into a line of policemen and then ignited that car and blew it up with a bomb, would that be an act of terrorism? Yeah, you bet it would. So someone drove a vehicle into the police, but it didn't explode. Is that still an act of terrorism? Yes, because the objective of the terrorist is to use force and the threat of force to affect death on people or dismemberment and injury in an effort to persuade others to be fearful of them and government to take action, right? There it is. This is an act of terrorism. This is not a protest. It's not even a fucking riot. It is a terrorist action. It's a terrorist action. And I believe the National Guard, and at this point, these are fucking terrorists. All of these groups are terrorists. The United States Marine Corps at this point, I am all for putting them on the streets. Now, back in 2020, I was reluctant. I'm like, you know what? I don't think it's necessary. At this point, it is, because we have 20 million illegal fucking immigrants here. These are not Americans protesting. There are some, but the ones that are Americans are communists and they're anti-Americans, and they've said so. They've said death to America. They burned the flag. And these foreigners are swinging foreign flags while committing acts of terrorism. Not good. Thank you, Mr. Corsair Trainers, and thank you, Uman, for that. Who's up next? Have we got some of those? Oh, Corsair Trainer says, hey, local news is reporting additional protests are planned for tonight. Of course they are. These fucking people. CHP is moving to clear the freeway. CHP is California Highway Patrol, the chippers. They're out. They're moving to clear the freeway. I've known a lot of highway patrol folks. California Highway Patrol. They're all well-trained. They're all well-equipped. They all can have very bad attitudes. A lot of them need their asses kicked. A lot of them are great fucking guys. I don't expect anything except for them to do their fucking jobs. Open that fucking highway up. Get those fucking protesters / terrorists in handcuffs and find out, separate them. American terrorists, you're going to jail. Foreign terrorists, we're deporting your ass. We're done. We're done. It needs to happen. Thank you, Corsair Trainers. Appreciate it. All right, let's do it. Who else is up here on the Prepared Mind channel? We've got Who's On First, referring to a comedian team, Abbott and Costello. I watched a lot of Abbott and Costello as a kid. One of the greatest skits ever in comedy was the Who's On First. So he did a $9.99 super chat donation. He says, don't fall for this Trump-Musk farce. Uh-oh, here comes an opinion. He says they planned this exit plan early so Musk could avoid ruination when he's done. They scripted it out a long time ago. Don't be a sheep, think free. Well, yeah, that was an idea as well. If Musk comes in and does the Department of Government Efficiency, if he exposes the Democrats and Republicans and the bureaucrats and the foreigners and the terrorist organizations, if he exposes them all for their crimes of theft, money laundering, graft, bribery, kickbacks, paybacks, right, all their fucking crimes, funding terrorism, then it could cause massive financial loss for Musk, right? It could cause massive financial loss for Musk, which is unfair to the entire Tesla Corporation, SpaceX, et cetera, right? And they're trying to hurt him. Right now, I think he's down, $30 billion? Is it 15 or 30? I can't fucking remember. It's the weekend. The markets are closed, right? All the Democrats are like, we're going to sell your stock. Well, you're going to ruin yourselves and ruin everyone else. That's okay, though. So they plan this exit plan. And this is part of a general theory that Who On First is sharing, is that Musk needs to be able to get away by a kind of attacking Trump for the purpose of people going, yeah, see, Musk ain't that bad. He realized that Trump's a bad guy, and so he's getting his comeuppance against Trump and exposing Trump. And I mean, I understand the theory. I understand the practical application of such actions. Now, here's my thinking, is I'm a problem solver. I always have been. My profession, solving problems with people, more people, customers, building departments, subcontractors, right? Solving problems. How do we fix this problem? Engineers, architects, working with these people, because I want whatever I'm building to be done proper, right? The best possible, etc. Right? If you've got a business, a corporation, your job is to make it profitable. That means it runs right. You get rid of bad people, you bring in good people. You get rid of bad ideas, you bring in good ideas, you solve problems. Government, I have had a problem with for years and years, decades, since I was a fucking kid even. I'm like, why doesn't government fix this? The solutions are obvious. Why doesn't government fix it? Right? I fix problems. Everyone I know in private business, they solve problems. But why can't government solve our problems? Why do they make shit worse? Because it's done intentionally. So it's hard for me to believe that Trump and Musk are legitimately trying to solve problems for the country and themselves. I find it hard to believe that they'll actually go this far, make themselves both look like complete assholes, because that's what they look like over this. Trump looked and sounded petty as fuck. Elon Musk looked and sounded petty as fuck. They look stupid. They're supposed to be intelligent men, billionaires, but they're throwing girl-like fits. And who believes it? Because I don't really believe it. I don't. It seems scripted. It seems staged. It's fucking obvious. It's a fucking joke. It's weird as fuck. But who's buying it up? Who's sucking it up? The idiots. So yeah, maybe this theory is correct, that it was a planned out for Musk to escape. He's done his job. He's exposed it all. Now he needs to go back to work and not be punished. So he pretends to have a fight with Trump, an international public fight on social media of all fucking places. The problem is, who's on first? The problem with all that is it does make the most sense. I just can't believe that they actually executed it properly, because government does not do things and solve problems. Maybe they will. Of course, by the way, Uman, Q17, right? The QAnon, they're all out there. This is all part of the plan. Yeah. Would you rather have the plan take, I don't know, from 2016 to 2028, 12 fucking years for the plan to play out and save America? Or would you rather have, I don't know, 6 months of fucking martial law, rounding up these motherfuckers, going to war around the world to round them up, cleaning this fucking country out, door to door if necessary, using a vigilante civilian force that loves America? I'd rather go through 6 months of hell than 12 years of fucking torture with hellish moments. But what I want and my idea of solving problems is not going to work. I agree with Jesse the Body Ventura, who was a Navy SEAL, a professional wrestler, a professional actor, and a governor of Minnesota. He said, if I were president, I'd have to be a dictator. And because that's what it's going to take to solve the problems. Because the deep state is so embedded. There's so many fucking moles and scumbags in government, paid by us to fuck us, that they're not just going to go away. They're not going to quit. They're not going to retire. Some did. Most of them know. They're embedded. It's their life. It's their dream to destroy America. Imagine these fucking commies, if they were to win. They'll tell their families, their sons and daughters, their grandchildren, their friends, their extended family, all about the part they played in fucking us all over. Yeah, I was part of the thing that killed 50 million Americans and put another 100 million Americans in prison camps. And we killed them all. I'm a great person. That's what these commies are. That's what they would fucking do, because that's what they've done in the past. With history as our guide, that's what they have in mind for you. A very quick death or a long, arduous prison death. Okay. Anyways, yeah, don't be a sheep. Think freely. Think about all these things. Exercise. Am I right? I could be. Are you right? You could be. But if we only take one opinion, one thought, and say, if you don't buy this thought, then you're not an American. Oh, fuck you, right? No, I don't say that. We all have opinions. We all have ideas. We all have perspectives. We come from different places. If you took 5 people, showed them a phenomena, a wonder, a miracle, something weird, a UFO fighting Bigfoot while the Marines in helicopters circled above, all 5 of them would explain what happened in a different way. They just would. One would say, well, the Bigfoot grabbed the UFO and smashed it, and the Marines came and killed the Bigfoot, right? And the other one would say, no, that's not what happened. The Marines dropped the Bigfoots off to fight the aliens, right? Right. The point is everyone has a different perspective and interpretation of things. What we need to do is have all of the ideas out and be able to discuss them like adults and not go, oh, you just criticized Trump. You're an anti-American. No, I'll criticize Trump. I'll criticize Musk. I'll criticize everyone. And we all should do that. Criticize means to critically examine. Right? I can be critical of a good idea as much as I can be critical of a bad idea. Do not fall for the idea that you have to believe what one person says or you're an evil person. With the exception of communists and anyone who says they're anti-American. They're just flat out evil. They've already made all the arguments go away. There's no more questions to ask when someone's a communist. Oh, you're a communist? The only good communist is a dead communist. Because if you don't take care of them, guess what? And we're not allowed to kill. Trust me, I'm not saying anyone go commit acts of violence. We're not allowed to kill them. But the first thing they'll do is recruit and try and brainwash people into more of their shit with their bullshit lies and propaganda. And ultimately, when there's enough of them, they will fight us. And that's where we're at right here on June 8th, 2025. Ooh, man, Jolene, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? And we've got bump. We got Penny B checking in with an $11.11 super chat donation. And I miss you, P. I hope all is well, and I'm glad to hear from you from time to time. Semper Fi to all you guys, well, where you're at, right? The world is a danger zone. Anyways, she says, hi, John, and hello to my TPM, the Prepared Mind family. Sending so much love to all. Keep working, preparing, and improving on all levels, which means our intellects, our prepping, our physical strategies, mental strategies, and our spiritual strategies, all very important. If you don't have a good heart, have your heart centered, you're a loose cannon. If you don't have your brain straight, if you're not prepared mentally, you're a loose cannon, right? Because you don't know what's right. You're not prepared. If you don't have and when I say a spiritual heart, a moral heart, a good heart, if you don't understand who the bad guys and the good guys are, right? Are the good guys the ones telling children to cut their dicks off? Are the good guys the ones dressing like drag queens and exposing their genitals to children? Are the good guys these homosexual fruitcakes running around naked in the streets saying, it's our parade, we can do what we want, and waving their fucking dicks in kids' faces and then pretending like it ain't no big deal? Those are not good guys. Are the good guys the ones burning flags? Are the good guys the ones harassing Americans, harassing Jews, harassing Germans, harassing the English, harassing the Swedes? No, you're harassing people. You're wrong. Threatening them. You're wrong. Right? So that's having your morals. Where do your morals come from? Does it come from a book that tells you to kill the infidel? No. Right? So there's a moral book out there. Is it the Torah? Is it? How about the Talmud? Is that a good book? A moral book? Is the New Testament scriptures, is that a good book? You have to decide for yourself. But your actions, the people you keep, you know if you're good or not. You should. And so inductive, deductive reasoning process, you go, well, if we know we're good, We love our country. We love people. We respect the elderly, and we love our children and protect them. We love our country, right? All these things. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, the golden rule. Does Islam promote the golden rule? Do anti-American communist Antifa fruitcake scumbags, do they do the golden rule? No, they don't. Right? But do they know they're bad? My answer is yes, they do. They know what they're doing is wrong. They know attacking America is wrong. Thieves know that when they're stealing, it's wrong, but they do it anyways. So BLM, Antifa, the Islamic Jihad Joes, all of these people, the people in the World Economic Forum, they know what they're doing is wrong, but somehow they justify it to themselves as right. So you need to be prepared. All right, let's keep going. Penny B, thank you, my dear. Good luck. Be safe. Say hi to the family for me, of course. Let us continue if we shall. We've got 381 people live. We need more people live. Share that internet address. Hit the share button. And now we've got RM125 Hooligan with a $9.99 super chat donation. I rode an RM125 once. It would be back in 1988 before I went to boot camp. That thing had a narrow fucking power band at the top. The thing wouldn't do anything until it was ready to rip your arms out. Anyways, RM125 was a two-stroke motorcycle. Dirt bike. Anyways, he says, we like the Blight series from Italian Hillbilly, John. You need to appear more in it. All right. The Italian Hillbilly is Kaz. He was the fourth dimension. He's been kicked off of multiple social media applications like YouTube, not because he's a bad guy, but because he has a very strong opinion that's unpopular within social media. So he has created a kind of an AI backed and based, but a story he's telling. And apparently I'm a character in it. And he asked permission, by the way. And I said, sure, go ahead. You know, use a likeness similar to mine. So I guess there's a character that looks like me in there. And it's fine, right? But I didn't have any say, Mr. Hooligan, about whether or not, right, I can be in it more or I can be a part of the writing or the dialogue. It's all fictional. At the same time, the Italian Hillbilly is very much a black pill character. He isn't as hopeful and optimistic as I am. And most of America would say, John, you're pretty dark, man. Right? You're pretty down in there in the trenches with thinking how bad things are. Well, again, how good are things? Right? We have 20 million terrorists in this fucking country. 10 million of them have been recently invited in by the Biden administration. The other 10 million, I think, are Antifa, hardcore Democrats, absolute anti-American scumbags, communists, Antifa types. I bet there's 20 million total. And they're not here because they love us, or you, or me individually. They hate us all collectively. And so that is a pretty dire situation. It's pretty dark, pretty nasty. They are an insurrection army, and they are now acting against us. Sleeper cells are being activated. I'm waiting and watching. When are they going to hit power substations in our cities or rural substations where the big power comes in? WAPA power in California comes through Northern California, through the mountains down into the Central Valley and feeds the San Francisco Bay Area, Sacramento. There's substations. All they got to do is attack those, and they knock the power out in all of Northern California. They can do the same thing in any state. And that's just power. That's not the water supply. No, water supply can be interrupted very quickly also. Highways, bridges, tunnels, that can be affected. Ports. Back in 2020, Antifa and BLM marched in and shut down the Oakland ports. What happens in the ports? That's where we get a lot of our imported goods, right? They can do a lot more damage to us, folks. Also, we have trade and commerce that goes on where we use our own ports to move our goods, oil, energy, fuel, right? Look out. Look out. It's going to get nasty, folks. It's going to get nasty. Thank you, Mr. Hooligan. Uman, Jolene, what have we got next? We're at, holy cow, we're at, an hour and a half almost. And now we got Steve Bishop checking in with a $25 super chat donation. He says, Semper Fi, John, and I'll say Semper Fi to you, Steve. Semper Fi. He says, have you spent any time in the country of Panama? I was wondering if it might be a decent place for a plan B. Panama. There was a coin toss in 1989. I won. I stayed in North Carolina, and a Marine with the last name of Johnson from the city of Sacramento went to Panama. When Johnson came back, he said, hey, John, it was amazing. Panama was great. Thank you, Jolene. It was great. He said, during the day, you could go out, travel in the cities. You can do what you want, and everything was fine. At night, they shot at us. That was 1989. Well, since then, the world's changed quite a bit, has it not? That was 26 years ago. I have heard good and bad about Panama, Costa Rica. I don't know if you're going to get a plan B. If you were to go to a third world country or an emerging market economy, right, or something down in central or maybe northern, the northern portion of South America, you can find good areas and you can find bad. A lot of Americans, known as expats, they'll move to these areas and live in communities with other Americans. What I can tell you is they're not allowed to have guns, but they have guns. So how safe is it? Well, if Americans can get guns down there, then you can bet your ass the terrorists and bad guys have guns also. Is it as many as some areas of the world? No. Is it more than other areas? Yes. Like a lot of people believe that the state of Hawaii, because it is so liberal by the politicians, doesn't have any guns. There's an incredible amount of guns in Hawaii, in California, and Oregon, and Washington. There's a shit pile of guns in Illinois and New York. In other words, the most liberal states are loaded with fucking guns. So these countries that you would think are safe, well, they're safe to the extent that you're willing to fight for your life if things get really nasty. A problem in a country like Panama or any place that's kind of like RMZ is they rely on tourism to support their countries because they're small countries. Panama is a little different, but let me just go over the average non-American country down there. They're small, so they have limited natural resources. They have limited GDP, limited productivity because there's just not much. They've got some agriculture, maybe some mining, and they rely on tourism. So when times get bad in America and Europe, people don't travel. Therefore, money's not going to those places. They get hit with recession and depression far more often and to a greater extent than America deals with. As a consequence of that negative economic situation, Americans tend to be targets of robbery and other criminal mischief from the locals who resent them, right? And know that, well, they're Americans, they have money more than they have. So they become the subject of attacks, victimization, and crime. So when you say, should I go to Panama or Nicaragua or Guatemala or El Salvador, you take your chances. The country or the governments of those nations, any nation, aren't going to look as favorably on you as an American as they would look upon their own people. But what we're dealing with here in this country now is our own government does not look on us favorably, especially if you're in Illinois, New York, California, Oregon, Washington State, New Mexico, Colorado, Minnesota, right? Our own governments look on us and think of us as domestic terror threats, right? So pick your poison, I think, is the best I can do for you, Steve. I really appreciate the question because it comes up frequently. not only in my mind, but in many people's minds. What do you do? Where do you go? Where can you leave? Well, 200, 400 years ago to, 100 years ago, the world was an open place. People could leave where they lived and go to good places. Especially 400 years ago, North and South and Central America were unpopulated. They were open to colonization. You didn't need permission. You just showed the fuck up 400 years ago. Because you were escaping one version of bullshit in Europe, heading to Central America, South America, or North America. But you traded that type of tyranny in Europe for, let's just call it the Old West, right? Wild country with indigenous people that didn't like you either. So you have to pick your poison, in other words. What level of risk do you want? What level of security do you think you're going to get? What are you willing to do to get it? And are you willing to accept a different way of life altogether? Now, the reason I said Panama is a little different than the others is the Panama Canal is there, and that is a big source of revenue for the country of Panama. Oh, by the way, deplorable coffee, cafefe.com, cof-fee-fee.com. There it is. Thank you, Jolene. Cafefe coffee is delicious. It is loaded with caffeine, just like all other coffees, but it tastes good. And it is very, very, very patriotic. Cafefe.com. When shit hits the fan big time and I have to do night duty, I'll be sipping Cafefe coffee and keeping an eye out for the bad guys. Folks, we're just under 400 people live. Do your part. Share, share, share. Hit the thumbs up, like. If you're not subscribed, you've got to be subscribed for 5 minutes before you can comment on YouTube. But we're also on the preparedmind.club. The preparedmind.club is what? Well, it's our own website where you can watch the videos if you're a premium member. And it's also a superstore for all things prepping. You need food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. How about a plan? How about solar panels? How about communications gear? If you've got all that, you're great. Then, if you got money in the banks, do you trust the banks? The bankers, big shot bankers. Let's see, Ray Dalio. He's a huge hedge fund manager. How about, I said banks. How about Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan? Says there's cracks in the bond market. Gold and silver. That just happens to be a 1 ounce silver round with the Marine Corps emblem on it. That I carry with me all the time. All the time. A little bit of medication there. Get gold and silver. It's not an investment recommendation. A lot of people say it is wealth preservation. It is saving wealth, but it's out of the bank. Just like your guns and your bullets, your beans and your Band-Aids, right? We got Build Back Better. We got the Big Beautiful Bill. I like beans, bullets, and Band-Aids. And that's the Italian hillbilly. That's the way he talks about it. But, you need food, you need water, you need clothing, you need shelter, you need medications. That includes prescription medications as well as first aid kits. You need ivermectin. You need detox medication. You need antibiotics. You need all of those things. Anyways, the preparedmind.club could be your way to go. SD Bullion is where I recommend you get your silver and gold from. There's lots of great companies out there. I do like Miles Franklin with Andy Scheckman. I like that guy. He's a decent fellow. I call Dunnigan Kaiser personally when my family office that I handle the investments for. When I do things, I've worked with them and SD Bullion. Good companies, fair prices, smallest premiums. The only thing is SD Bullion gets you, and that's Prepper Meds. Bam, right there. Medications. Andy Scheckman's company just takes all. They've got a slower delivery service than SD Bullion, but great companies. Anyways, getting prepared for all things, right? You can be prepared for a hurricane or an earthquake or a tornado or a blizzard. You can be prepared for flooding, right? But are you prepared for everything? Luckily, most everything that you prepare for any one emergency handles them all. But your finances is dealing with governments, government failures, government attack, all that stuff. And by attack, I mean what the government's doing to itself. The government is at war with itself right now. Democrats are at war with liberty and freedom. Rhino Republicans are at war with your liberties and your freedoms. Okay, thank you very much for putting all of those up. The SD Bullion, the Cafefe.com, the Prepper Meds, the preparedmind.club, etc. Now let's do some super chats and see what you guys want to talk about as we wind up our last half hour. And Uman says the rhetoric coming from the right is the same as the Q-tards spewing Q nonsense, just without the Q. They're working in the background. Have patience. These things take time. Bullshit. Bullshit. These things do not take time. They do not take time. When the Marines in Beirut, Lebanon were blown up, did Ronald Reagan say, I need a blue ribbon panel of congressmen and senators to get together and figure out who the bad guys are? And we're going to think about it. Then we're going to debate it for a while. Then we'll ask you, the American people. And then we'll go back to our committee again. And in 6 months to 6 years, we'll come up with an answer. No, fucking Reagan went and bombed the shit out of the bad guys in retaliation. That's a macro example of it doesn't take time. Now, when it comes to individuals or small groups, does it take time? No. Once that retarded group of morons decided and announced that they were going to kidnap the governor of Michigan, Gretchen the Grinch Whitmore, once they said, yeah, let's do it, they were arrested immediately. Now, yes, they were entrapped by the FBI because it was the FBI's idea. Didn't take any fucking time at all to go start arresting them, did it? No. How about the January 6th protesters? They went and arrested everyone immediately. The only thing that took time was using all the cameras around all of Washington, D.C. to make sure they got enough pictures of everybody that was there, put them on the computer, and use the computer to find them. Some people were easy to find, some took longer, but as soon as they knew who the criminals were, they went after them, didn't they? It didn't take any fucking time. As soon as they had a name and a face and an address, they went and found that address on the map, the name that went there, and the face that went with it, and they fucking arrested them. They show up at people's houses, Christians, patriots, veterans, and they'd stick guns in their face and arrested them. I don't want to hear this. Takes fucking time. Hillary committed crimes, serious crimes. James Comey committed crimes, serious crimes. The Biden family has committed crimes, serious crimes. His administration using AutoPen, serious crimes. You said serious crimes. American bureaucracies taking American money and giving it to terror organizations, that's fucking crimes. The people, the places, the faces, the addresses, they have them. It doesn't take time. They arrested the January 6th protesters, and then what? Threw them in jail. Let them sit there while they fabricated more bullshit and lies. It doesn't take any time at all, folks. All they need is a name, and a name comes together with an address, and there's a picture that goes with it, and they got you. None of this takes time. The Epstein lists, oh, fuck. Kash Patel came out. He went on the show with Joe Rogan and said, oh, there's no, let me do him. There's no videos of anyone doing anything with children. There's nothing wrong out there. Everything is fine with the Epstein files. Did I do that right, man? Did you see that? You saw my eyes? Did I do that well? Because I can't see my eyes when I fucking do that. Yeah, there's no Epstein crimes. Yeah, I'm making fun of him. How can you fucking not see it? We saw it. We know it. I don't give a shit. These people are failing us. Now, that's what Kash Patel said, but just a couple of days ago, weeks, did we not hear Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, tell us there's thousands of videos off of Epstein's computer hard drives, CD-ROMs or DVDs. We got thousands of videos. We got to go through all that stuff. How hard is it, right? They can't even agree with each other anymore. None of this takes time. What takes time is getting you to calm down, to not pay attention. These aren't the crimes you're looking for, right? The Jedi mind trick. These aren't the droids you're looking for. These aren't the pedophiles you're looking for. These aren't the terrorists you're looking for. These aren't the corrupt politicians you're looking for. These aren't the corrupt and criminal bankers and aristocrats and fucking scum that you're looking for. And then they change the story. And 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 then pretty soon you're just like, fuck it, I give up. I quit. I don't care anymore. That's what they want, is to wear you down with apathy and their lies. Are you prepared? Wars are not won overnight. The American Revolution was fought before it was fought. What was that fight? Pissing off American colonists to the point where they finally said, that's it. No more bullshit. Here's a piece of paper called the Declaration of Independence. We're done with your shit. And then they fought some more, did they not? And then they fought for years and years to come up with the Constitution. Nothing's fast, right? For us to fix things. The government can do whatever the fuck they want, just like that. Branch Davidians, we're going to frame you over a gun charge. They showed up, started shooting people. Literally. Ruby Ridge, they showed up, shot a woman through her head and killed a baby. When the government wants to move fast, they will. All they need is a name and an address and a face. You're done. By the way, Trump said no more wearing masks at protests. I don't know if he can do that. I say do it anyways. You're wearing a mask, you're arrested. Because that's what terrorists do. And by wearing a mask at a protest that has violence, you are demonstrating that you have one or more of the qualities of a fucking terrorist. Am I wrong on that, Uman? No, he says, no, you're not wrong, John. Anyways, let's continue. Who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? We're right at 400 people live, and it is Robin, free to be, with a $50 super chat. And I was just starting to notice that my Scotch buzz had tapered off. In any event, Glenn Levitt, 15-year, thank you, Robin. And I'll read this again. With everything that's going on, folks, they're trying to fuck our country up. They're trying to steal your constitutional republic, your rights, your property, your family, your safety, your lives. There comes a time when a man must spit on his hands, hoist the black flag, and begin to slit throats. Yes, indeed, Robin. I'm not recommending anyone commit violence. I was reading a glass. The black flag, the skull and bones. Right? That's what pirates sailed under. What's a pirate? Well, they're lawless. They're not doing what governments say. What happens when a good government says you're a pirate? Well, pirate's bad. What happens when a good government goes pirate? And they accuse us of being pirates, right? Because they always do what? Project what they're doing on everyone else. Poured that one a little tall. Good golly, smooth like mother's milk. All warm and tingly inside again. I'll tell you what, Robin, she says, been preparing myself for 10 plus years. Congratulations and God bless you. She says, I am shocked SHTF hasn't happened by now. I could not have imagined in 100 years how much this world was going to change over the past decade. Dare we imagine what's about to come next? There's a lot of things to discuss here in this comment, Robin, and I thank you for it. I am shocked SHTF hasn't happened by now. It has. It has. We had a fake pandemic that locked down not just the United States of America, but the entire world. They lied about its deadliness. They lied about where it was coming from. They lied about what it was. Then they lied about the V.A.X. the Jim Jones juice. They lied about that. They tried making everyone take poison. And if you took it, don't be ashamed. Detox the fuck out of yourself on a regular basis. I love ivermectin, horse paste, as we called it when I wasn't allowed to say the I word. You can get it in pill. I prefer horsey style with apple flavoring in a Vaseline type jelly. I apply it to my skin. In fact, a friend told me that their skin condition has cleared up since using it. I believe a lot of our medical problems are caused by parasites. Period. From cancer to common cold, right? They weaken us and attack us. Anyways, right? That was part of the plan, was to kill us with their shit. But those who didn't take it were like, fuck you, I ain't taking that shit. But that is part of SHTF. Then they allowed in 20 fucking million illegals, Robin. And I'm not making fun of you or picking on you. You're not wrong, right? But I think, shit, it's a fan. When they locked us down, I said it started. And we're going to go through waves and cycles of pain and discomfort and destruction. We had 4 years of the Biden administration trying to kill our children, trying to destroy our country by letting in illegals, allowing all manner of crimes to happen. The government became far more corrupt. They started a war. They're trying to push World War III on Russia. It's happened, but you know, it has happened. We just haven't gotten to Mad Max, right? We did have 2020, the summer of love. That was SHTF Mad Max hotspots, but we haven't had total Mad Max, right? So that's what a lot of people's definition is total lawlessness. You're on your own. I'm glad you've got 10 years of preps, Robin. Now, I cannot imagine all of these things that have happened as well. I would have never thought our own government would betray us to the degree it has. I would have never thought that they would fund fucking terrorism. That's right. The Democrats and the Rhino Republicans in Washington, D.C., through USAID and other organizations, send money offshore to terrorist associated organizations, give them billions of dollars. They keep a little for themselves and they launder some back to the politicians, and then they fund illegal terrorist activities around the world. I would not have imagined in 100 years, all the things they're doing. Trying to justify and normalize homosexuality, transgenderism, drag queens, and telling children it's good to be any of those fucking things. Putting pornography, gay pornography, how to give an old man or an adult man blowjobs and anal sex. What the fuck is wrong with these people? I would have never imagined they would try normalizing that. Pedophilia. But they are. And they have been, and they're going to continue to try. Yeah, I never would have fucking imagined that. The last 10 years, go openly since the Clintons took office in 1992. 1993. The election was in 92. Since then, it has been a fucking nightmare of government overreach and trying to ruin our country and the world. When you say, dare we imagine what's about to come next, that is a prophetic statement. Prophetic meaning we better learn something from that. I cannot imagine all that's been done and thinking, well, they can't do worse than that. The fuck they can't. The governments, the evil people, and these terrorists can do far worse. And it can happen. And I think it's about to start and get even worse. The United States of America is in a unique position because the citizens have the Constitution. We have a belief system that we have rights. And we have the tools and the training meaning military veterans and sportsmen and patriots and guns and bullets. We have that. And they can't take those away. Not now. You're out of your fucking mind if you think I'm going to give up my guns. You're out of your fucking mind if you think I'm going to allow myself to be arrested because some liberal communist piece of shit says I'm dangerous. I'm not. I'm not a criminal. Never been arrested, never been in jail, never murdered anybody, never beat anyone to death, never did anything that Antifa and BLM do, never committed arson and murder and rape, never committed money laundering, never committed funding of terrorism, never done anything that politicians do now openly. By the way, we're well over 400 people live. Thank you. We're on Facebook. We're on BitChute. We're on Rumble. We're on X. We're on the preparedmind.club. We're on subscribestar.com. And we're on YouTube. And we've got over 400 people and growing. Anyways, Robin, thank you for the great support. $50 more super chat gets me a scotch. But you guys support the channel. You keep the lights on. You keep me in this chair and give me the free time. I don't have much free time in my life. And if it wasn't for you guys, I would be working another job. Right? So what you guys donate to the channel keeps the lights on and keeps us here because we have bills to pay. Fuck, just like you do. And I appreciate everything you guys do, especially when you share the internet address. Hit the share button so that others can wake up and take the red pill or dare to take the black pill. And I'm glad, Robin, that you've been prepping for 10 plus years, which tells me you're probably well prepared upstairs in the head. You know what's coming. It's hard to imagine, but just imagine the most abominable things ever. And it's going to be true. It's going to be true. Uman, Jolene, we've got less than 10 minutes, but if we got super chats, I'm right here. And Dan, the man Erickson, checks in. And he says, there must be a democratic version of our Constitution that the Republicans are unaware of. Yeah. You see, this is the U.S. Constitution establishes a constitutional republic, not a democracy. Not a democracy. So the democratic version of the Constitution, well, I know what that is. That's one where they think, well, everything's up for a vote. Everything is up for a vote. And it's not really about majority rules, which can come into play if they have the majority, but it's about, can the minority of Democrats cheat enough, lie enough, use propaganda? Can they steal elections? Can they influence people unduly? Can they just flat out fucking lie to us and steal elections? Yeah, that's their version. They're right. They're bureaucrats also, meaning unelected government officials writing laws and rules and regulations. And as far as I'm concerned, the bureaucracy includes the fucking legions of scumbag lawyers in and around Washington, D.C., writing laws. They're actually just statutes. Writing statutes to give to congressmen to pass to try and steal your rights and rights and freedoms. Try to override the law. This is the law. The things that Congress passes are called statutes. They're not law. It's the color of law. Anytime one of their statutes violates our rights, that's illegal. It's unconstitutional. And tell me, boy, are they doing it every fucking chance they get. Been a lot of people asking on the channel lately about high capacity magazines, silencers, and the ATF. Yeah, I believe that is an unconstitutional government operation because the Second Amendment clearly says it restricts the government from doing anything to, as they says, the people have the right to keep and bear arms, and that shall not be infringed. Shall not be infringed. Sounds like they're infringing the fuck out of it, doesn't it? You can't do this. You can't have that. You got to wait for this. You need to pay a special tax. All of those things are infringements. All right, Dan. Anyways, great super chat donation. Thank you, sir. Who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? We've got Bump Ba-da-Dump Bump. Chin Music checking in for a second time today. $9.99 super chat. And he says this: call me crazy, but I'm not sure sticking your plug in the wrong socket warrants a month-long celebration. Hashtag rainbow fatigue. Oh, he's talking about Pride Month, which we have renamed Patriot Month. And it's not about sticking your plug or your dick in the wrong socket or bunghole. Any bunghole, right? Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of fatigue in this country. There's illegal alien fatigue. There is rainbow fag fatigue. There is government fatigue. There is bullshit attorney general and FBI fatigue. There's Democrat fatigue. There's media fatigue. Right? We're all tired of this shit because it is bullshit. It's bullshit. You're not crazy, Chen. You're a normal human being. But there's so much gaslighting going on, is there not? Gaslighting is lying right to your face, knowingly, intentionally, to such an extent that you feel like you're crazy for not believing their lies. That's exactly what gaslighting is. It's lying directly to your face 100 times in a row if necessary to convince you to believe their lies. Right? They've been telling us for years it's perfectly normal to be a faggot, fruitcake, tranny, queer, right? LGBTQIA, all the way up to minor attracted person. Pedophilia. They're trying to normalize that. And you're like, how is that fucking normal? They want to normalize that. Unbelievable what's going on, folks. Unbelievable. Thank you, Chin Music. I look forward to seeing you in October, if not sooner, if we can get you out of Texas. All right. Mr. Uman, we're at the end of the show. Jolene, we're at the end of the show. We got a few minutes left. But bump ba dum bump 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 super chat, which means I get a scotch. Thank you, Cottage Farm. You're gonna like this right here. I'm gonna like this. And again, sticking in the first night's tradition here. There comes a time when a man must spit on his hands, hoist the black flag, and begin to slit throats. It's not an invitation or an incitement to violence, but rather a statement. There does come a time. Thank you, Cottage Farm. Now, she writes, maybe the powers that be encourage the LGBT lifestyle. So the thing that occurs overseas are acceptable to the liberal or general population? I don't know, right? You know, the things that occur overseas. I think what you're asking, and help me out if I'm wrong, but the powers that be, meaning the government, the deep state, their financiers, scumbags, they encouraged the immoral, filthy, disgusting belief systems that were shoved into our faces. You know, drag queen story hour, drag queen in the military, being forced to attend drag queen shows in the military. Really? The government pushing pedophilia on us. Right? This lifestyle, the destruction of morality and decency. Did they do that so that we would accept other forms of immoral, awful behavior, thought, and actions by the government, right? So she says, so the thing that occurs overseas, wars, murders, genocide, money laundering, drugs, human trafficking. All of those are acceptable to the liberal population and the population in general, if they could have gotten us. You are correct. They are trying to, well, demoralize us, as in take down our spirit, and literally demoralize us by lowering our moral standards, by making us accept Pride Month and accept drag queens and accept transgenders, except the fucking people are losing their shit. They're absolutely losing their shit on themselves. They like to blame us, right? You bet. They like to say we're the bad ones. We're killing them. There's genocide against trannies and fags and everyone else. No, sorry. They're the ones doing it. In fact, in Washington, D.C., they had what they called World Pride over the weekend. And whoops, there were safety concerns. There were safety concerns about it at DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C., but they overrode the safety concerns, opened up the park to their World Pride celebration, and guess what? There were stabbings and shootings there. Really? I don't think a whole lot of straight people in Washington, D.C. went to World Pride. Probably a bunch of upset, out of control, drugged up, whacked out, right? SSRI, antidepressant laden, overtaxed people with hormones squirting out their ears because they're all a bunch of freaks trying to solve their problems with, well, sexual activity. Yeah, they end up fucking each other up, literally, right? Remember when they were like, love is love. Well, love is shooting. Love is stabbity stab. I thought butt pirates and the ilk were cool and loving and understanding. Why are they stabbing and shooting each other? Yeah, and they wanted us to accept that, Cottage Farm. They wanted us to normalize it. They also wanted to just bring down our entire moral character as a nation. Imagine if our country was like, yeah, we all need to be, well, dating. It's okay to, you're not gay if you date a transgender man. That's right. If a man wears makeup, even gets fake boobs and dresses as a girl, it's okay to go out with them and have sex with them. No. They're trying to normalize that for everybody so they can say, who are you, America, to say what we're doing over here is wrong? Who are you, America, to say what your own government is doing is wrong? You people are a bunch of immoral scumbags, right? In other words, take away any, shall we say, moral high ground that you have. Take it away from you. That's what they wanted to do. Yes. So I believe the powers that be have encouraged this to demoralize us and unmoralize us. And it failed. Good. Fuck you, DC, and fuck you, powers that be. All of you. Worldwide. You can kiss my ass. No, wait a minute. I take that back because you probably would. You bunch of sick freak fucks. Anyways, World Pride. Nice job, guys. Way to prove us all right. I tell you what, we're at the end of the show. Let me do a quick check here with Jolene and Newman. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got at least 12 more things to go over, but you guys took over the show as usual, and I want to say thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you and thank you. Let's just do some quick stuff here, right? There's a suggestion out there, and this will be investigated by private investigators, investigative reporters, not mainstream media, not government, that the riots that are going on are being supported by international non-government organizations. That's right. They're doing it. They're doing it. Yep. Trump is tired and sick of the governors and mayors doing nothing, so he's going to do it. Right? He's going to do it. He federalized the California National Guard because Gruesome Newsom didn't do his fucking job. More of that, please. Literally. Oh, no, by the way, I just want everyone to know. We have a Pfizer moment for you. That's right. Or should it be a Moderna moment? I don't know which one's better. A Moderna moment on the Pfizer files. There you go. Well, doctors are sounding the alarm because there are now fibrous clots being discovered in young children who were born to, well, Jim Jones-juiced mothers. That's right. The children that have popped out from moms who got the VA.X are having fibrous clots. Not gummy clots, but fibrous clots. None of this is normal, folks. None of it. But they want you to think it's normal. It's not. It's not. It is out of control. Right? Out of control. The rioters are setting fire. They're launching explosives. And the Marines are standing by. I believe the Marines, if they're told these are terrorists and they're operating in our country, and they may have Americans with them, I believe that the Marines will do what they're told. It'll be the Army. They'll do what they're told. These are terrorists. So the Marines right now are just on high alert. We'll find out if it goes any further. Scary times, folks. Definitely not what I would have expected. And by the way, it's not just America that's suffering all the troubles. Nope. Down in Colombia, a presidential candidate was shot in the head in Bogota. Yeah, gotta love communists. Got to love communists. Holy crap, I had a lot more on here than I thought, right? Tom Homan, border czar, has reminded on television all California officials that they will be arrested and prosecuted if they interfere. I say, hey, stop warning them. Just fucking arrest the first one you find and watch the liberal tears and the crimes of that's not fair, and then the threats that come back. It's time. It is absolutely time. And World War III. World War III. There has been a massive Russian retaliation for a second night, and then we're going to be going on to a third night, I'm sure of it. Trump said, he came out and said, hey, Ukraine, quote, gave Putin a reason to go in and bomb the hell out of them. You know what I say with respect to this? Ukraine has been acting like terrorists. They've gone above and beyond and outside the war zone, the SMO zone, special military operation, and they're acting as terrorists. I think Russia needs to end this quickly. No more bullshit. They need to completely level all government buildings, eliminate the electrical infrastructure, the fuel depots, the ports, bridges, tunnels, and leave Ukraine absolutely crippled and begging Russia to please let us surrender. Right? They've been doing light bombing missions and retaliation, and it's always failed. Putin, you're smarter than this, McFly. What other option is there other than just completely leveling Kiev and other Ukraine cities? Or are you going to let Zelensky continue to attack, and commit terrorism? The world knows he's a lying sack of shit. The world knows. They know. Don't be surprised. Now, one last thing before I go, unless a super chat pops up. That retard, Mad Maxine Waters, is now referring to National Guards in downtown as potential murderers. She asked the question, quote, what are you going to do? Shoot some kids? Kind of referring to the Kent State shooting that the National Guard did during the 60s riots. And the answer is no. They are there to stop rioting and repel and arrest terrorists, right? I say let one bullet fly from the Democrats, let one bullet fly from Antifa or these illegals, and we'll see if the National Guard has ammo in their magazines. We'll find out, won't we? Same with Marines. I sure hope they don't put the Marines on the streets without ammunition. That would be stupid. It'd be pointless. It'd be like showing up to never mind, fuck it. You don't bring a knife to a gunfight. You don't bring an empty magazine to a gunfight. In any event, here we are, folks. It is Sunday night. That means tomorrow we wake up, we go to work. Or tomorrow we wake up and find more odd, crazy shit done. Congratulations, though, to Putin for not getting us into a nuclear war with people who want a nuclear war. And congratulations to you my friends, for getting us up to 450 people live after 2 hours. You're all still here. God bless. Share, thumbs up, like. Be sure to subscribe if you're not already. And chance favors the prepared mind. Semper Fi, one and all. God bless you all, and I'll see you at 0 dark 30 in the morning. Oh, and special thanks to Jolene and Uman. Thank you, guys. You're the best.